Yo, good night, good evening. Big up to each and every one of you. It's your boy, Marken. You know what to do. Smash the likes and subscribe. I got a big show planned for you guys. It's gonna be some fun times. I got the guys coming in. Everyone's gonna give their say, but it's the transfer news. So let's start with the updates. And as we spoke about it, Man United is very, very much interested in Brian Mbeumo. We'll be discussing that as the main topic tonight. Big up to Stephanie in the building. Most important, let's touch on some of the fine issues like the goalkeeping search. Everyone is thinking, who's Manchester United interested in? There's some interest in Martinez, we're not going to lie. There's also interest in Joan Garcia as well. But there's heavy, heavy interest of Manchester United in the goalkeeper that's coming out of Roma. And yes, we're talking about Mille Svilar, and the young 25-year-old has one of the best clean sheet records this season in the Serie A, and he's also a top performer. He's good with his feet, but very, very good with his hands. And some fans like you and me, we've been saying we need a guy that's good with his feet, but he should be better with his hands. And maybe this might be that guy. At 25 years old, the Roma club has slapped a price tag of 25 million euros on the player's name. So if we want to get him, it's going to be roughly around 20 million pounds, give or take. If there must be add-ons, whatnot, because Man United has been doing deals with the layaway. And like we did the deal with Cunha, some money up front and money over the years. It's the same thing with the deal for Brian and Mbeumo. We will be discussing that shortly. But more importantly, there's other things, other news. Jadon Sancho on his way back to Manchester United. Everyone is disappointed. Some people might be excited. For me, I'm just expecting the player to be moved on as soon as possible because guess what? He has been disrespecting the club. He's been not no fair, no. It's fair to him to have a good time playing with the clubs he's been at, but you know he needs to leave. He doesn't seem to enjoy the culture at Man United or the way we have treated it or how it is he is treated in the club, his experience here. He appreciates Chelsea and Dortmund. Well, there's interest in him. Juventus is cautious, but they are regaining interest in Jadon Sancho, and they might just be willing to put in a bid for somewhere in the region of 32 to 35 million euros, which is roughly around 27 million. Sorry about that, guys. Really, really sorry about that. I don't know what happened with my internet connection there. Dropped out. I don't know. The Glazers, they might have been onto me because I'm talking out the whole transfer window, possibly. You never know. Guys, I apologize. But I'm back. My boy Bali Tech is in the building. Let me just finish off with the intros before I bring him in. Also on the list right now, guys, is renewed interest in Anthony, and it's also coming from Italy in the likes of Juventus. They are also heavily interested in Anthony, as well as interest coming from Bayern Leverkusen. Guys, Bayern Leverkusen interest in Anthony is not surprising. It shouldn't surprise any one of you because, of course, you know Ten Hag is now their manager and they have money from Florian Wirtz. They can definitely afford to save Man United by spending £50 million for Anthony or 50 million euros, whichever, because I believe United are looking for somewhere in the region of 50, 40 million pounds. And that is something that's going to happen. Big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to you guys coming in. Of course, I'm going to bring my buddy Bally Tech into the building. Just give me 1 second, as I switch the scenes up slightly, bring him in. You know what I mean? Bally, I'm gonna continue on with a little bit of the intros. There's two more things I would like to talk about, including Nico Paz from Como. Man United have serious interest in the youngster. It's going to be interesting to see if Man United does go into the transfer window and sign this youngster. What I can tell you guys is there's a strong chance if there's sales in the likes of Anthony, Jadon Sancho, and Marcus Rashford, who is willing to take a huge pay cut and wait till Barcelona are able to sign him, which would come late in the window. Let's see what happens because there's also the fact that, Victor Lindelof is gone. So is Johnny Evans. So, guys, it's an interesting time and an interesting situation. And what I would like to say to you is that I would be, I wasn't too impressed with the transfer window to beginning. Bali could attest to that. But there are certain things happening that I cannot look away from, and I have to, tell you guys honestly, I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Most importantly, when you look at some of the signings, because Gyokeres, guys, there's still a potential that Gyokeres will possibly sign for Man United. There are reports coming out that there have been some agreement on personal terms between the club and the player, which I cannot say it's concrete, but I can tell you that there have been reports that this is occurred. So not let's not keep you guys from the main headline. I see you guys in the chat. Big up to Mama Flossie, big up to Stephanie Griffith, big up to my brethren Shakut Ali in the building. I know you're gassed about Mbwemo. You've been talking about him long before. Big up to Bali Tech. Bali Tech, I'll let you give your opinion on the window thus far and the interest in Mbwemo, and we'll work in reverse from what I was talking about because, the main headline is Mbeumo. Everyone wants to hear about Mbeumo. So, what are your thoughts on the signing? How will he impact at Manchester United? And what can you say about the pull that Manchester United has?
Firstly, I just want to give a shout out to the chat. Obviously, we love to talk football. We love to talk all things Manchester United, and we won't be able to do none of this without you guys. So big up the chat. Second of all, obviously, straight out the gate, signed Cunha. I thought very strong player. Would fit into our team nicely. He gives that type of energy as a typical Manchester United player, like this is Manchester United type of thing. He gives me that energy. And then we go and sign, or we haven't signed him yet, but it looks like we're nailed on to sign Mbwemo. Now, this is someone who's got physical presence. This is someone who's quick. This is someone who can dribble. This is someone that makes good decisions. I think that's the most important factor. A guy that makes good decisions in the final third. Now, if you look at our current team, nobody makes good decisions. Like nobody. Like nobody in our front three, from the starters to the guys who come off the bench, make good decisions. The only person that does this is Bruno, but he's doing it by himself. So now that we're adding the likes of a Cunha and an Mbwemo, that will surely strengthen us in the final third of in the business end of the team. So yeah, I mean, I'm very happy of what we've done so far and what we're looking to do in terms of Mbwemo. And I think those two will complement each other. And the icing on the cake would be an excellent centre forward and then probably a new goalkeeper and a midfielder. But we'll have to see. Like as Man United fans, we want to get. I don't know what greedy is because we expect the best at this club. We expect a lot. So I think the club has let us down. Ownership hasn't changed hands. Sir Jim has allowed the Glazers to stay, and I just think because he's allowed the Glazers to stay and certain things have gone wrong, I think they've got a lot to prove to us. So just because you get Cunha and you get Mbwemo, that doesn't mean you're off the hook. You still got a lot of work to do in order to repair the damage that they've already done to this club with all the staff members that have been sacked in a cost of living crisis, with the ticket rises at Old Trafford, with the crap football that we're seeing week out and week out. Like a style of like we don't even like matches are coming and we're not even looking forward to watching the matches because we know that it's going to be a struggle. We tune in anyway because we love Manchester United and that's what we do, but we know that we're going to struggle against every team we play. So the idea that we can't actually pinpoint games where we know we're going to dominate is disgusting, and it's on the ownership for that one.
Can't say I disagree with that statement at all because we've seen that we've had money, we've had good situations and good coaches before, but we've never really done good jobs in the transfer window supporting these coaches and progressing their system forward with the type of signings that should have been made, should be being made. It's a difficult situation, bro. And as a United fan, it's a difficult road. There was some difficult years, and this year, in my honest opinion, had to be the most difficult. I don't know what you would be thinking. I don't know what our fans are thinking, but for me, it was definitely one of the bigger, the most big disappointing seasons that we've had in terms of expectations before the season began, excitement before the season began, and what really transpired throughout the season. Now, at the end of the day, as a mature fella, and I would say as a long time avid football supporter and fan, I could understand the concept of change and changing systems and what that will entail in a footballing sense, and the possibilities of it being going okay, going well, going really well, and not going so well. A hard, long road. And maybe that's the road that we're on right now. And with the first signing that we made, you could see some progress. With the announcement that Bruno is remaining at the club, you could see some, you're adding quality to what we had. So that's another tick in the box. With the inclusion of signing in Mbeumo, you know, albeit it might be a 52 million pound deal somewhere between there and 60 million pounds. I think, hopefully the negotiation will end in a similar fashion to that of Cunha, where United pay something like maybe 22 to probably 24 million up front, and then the rest will go over like maybe let's say like a 10 to 15 million a year for 2 seasons, because it probably will be around 50 to 55 million, because a lot of clubs are running from the price tag, but Man United is saying we are probably willing to pay 50 plus 5 in add-ons if you allow us to pay it over the course of 2 or 3 seasons. We give you a upfront payment of half and the balance over 2 or 3 seasons. Then I think it seems like a doable deal for Man United. The only thing I would say is that I wouldn't harp too much on what his Brian and Mbeumo's salary becomes. There are reports that say in 250K. It cannot be really confirmed that that is the actual salary that is reported he's demanding. I don't actually believe that, but I definitely think it's somewhere along the lines of Cunha's salary I won't be too disappointed with that. If Mbwemo comes here and earns somewhere in the region of, let's say, 150 to 200K a month, a week, I think that's perfectly fine for a player who's contributing average 25 to 30 goals a season, whether it's goals and assists or more goals or less more assists. I think that's a very good contribution, and a player like that who's been doing it for multiple seasons deserves that kind of salary impact. And I think he will come here and earn it. He's a hard worker. I don't see that changing. He has a good engine on him, good quality. He's versatile across the front line as well. But Bali Tech, I wouldn't take your thunder. What is your thoughts on that?
What's my thoughts on what? Sorry.
On Mbeumo and his impact into the team.
Okay, my thoughts on what Mbwemo could bring to the team. I think, as I said before, making the right decisions. We have players that bang the ball over the bar a lot or shoot a lot instead of passing to teammates. We have players that can't find their teammates. We have players that just I think just the pressure gets to them. And I think this is a man that, although he's not played under the bright lights and the pressure of Manchester United, he's played in the cauldron. That is Old Trafford against Manchester United. And when I see him play against us, he looks like a threat. He looks like a danger. And I think he can bring the same energy in terms of his power, pace, and the mentality that took him to Old Trafford and used that for us rather than against us, right? So there's one thing that I like that he does when he cuts inside. A lot of our left-footed players like to cut inside and go far post with their shooting, but he likes to go near post, which is interesting. So he doesn't just go far post; he goes near post as well. Like that already is a massive upgrade because if you're always gonna go far post, then people know what you're gonna do. So you telegraph going far post. But if you're going near post, far post, keepers don't know what you're gonna do. You can catch people out. And also the link up that he will most probably have with Amad Diallo, in my humble opinion, is going to be frightening. Also, because he is a better player and makes better decisions than Ahmad, Ahmad is going to want to improve. So he's able to study what Mbwemo is doing and improve accordingly. So that is one of the biggest blessings in signing Mbwemo is also we have a number 10 that likes to play off the last man as well. So don't be surprised if when we are defending, when Bruno gets the ball, looks up, he's spraying it to Mbwemo. Like a lot of people think that he's most probably going to spray it to Cunha first, but Cunha's a guy that likes to come to the ball. He likes to come to the ball and carry the ball up the field. Whereas in Mbeumo, he likes to play off to the shoulder of the defenders. So he loves the ball in behind. So he will help us stretch the game, stretch the play, catch teams out unexpected. And with his type of decision making in the final third, you know it's going to be like a murder on the dance floor type of thing at Old Trafford. So I'm looking forward to seeing how teams react to our new look front three. If we're able to get all the deals done, because I don't think they'll be able to live with us personally. We in theory we haven't had a competent front three in a while. And this is why they're able, opposition fans and the media and things of that nature, they're able to drag Manchester United's history and our name through the mud. And it doesn't help that we have scummy owners that sack people for no reason. Do you know what I mean? Under the guise of, oh, we're saving money. These times you're supposed to be a flipping billionaire. But anyhow, once we have a competent front three, I'm sure we will start putting teams to the sword again and we can be 4-0 United once again.
Bro, I'm looking forward to celebrating those games. You don't know my scoreline predictions. I always predict United scoring multiple goals. But you know, history will never leave me when it comes to United. I just live in that heritage, bro. You know what I mean? I will be real and say that. So when I look at teams nowadays and look at players nowadays, even though I know at the same ages, they might not be at the same level in terms of football IQ and experience that players back in the day at those ages might have had. You know, I still expect something from them as a Manchester United player because we's not just a football club, we's one of the greatest ever. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's a heavyweight, and some players they might not be able to carry it, and fans need to understand that this is normal. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. It don't change nothing. It's just the life and times. Because some players and some situations are just they don't match. You know what I mean? I was a fan of Anthony. Look how well he do at Betis. He couldn't do that at Man United consistently. Maybe he wasn't able to, he was not a Man United level player. You know what I'm saying? So I looking forward to that. And there's a player that I definitely would like to return to Man United, right in the center there. You know what I mean? But it might never be. So it is what it is. We're moving on with change, and changes are new. And guys, don't you know what I mean? Whether you all think I like Cunha or not, that shouldn't be an issue. If you think Cunha is an amazing player and you like Cunha, all's well and good. We are all fans of the club. Whether we like or dislike certain players, I don't think that affect the fact that we all want to win games. And if the player does well, you should be able to congratulate the player and give him his plaudits. And I will try to do the same and not, try to undermine the player like some people would think. You know what I mean? What I do think though is that a player like Mbeumo coming in will also improve the likes of Camerson, the likes of Harry Amasa as well. Even Dalo, even Dogu, even Ganacho. You know what I mean? Because all these guys play that similar wide role. And when they see a guy like Mbwemo, I feel like it will set a chain reaction because he's a very, very active player and he has quality. You know what I mean? I won't say he world class just yet, but he's not short of that. He's elite at club level. You know what I mean?
I've seen some games where he's played for his country and he seems to be a danger man there too. So I think we're actually signing a top level player. Um, and normally we sign a player, we think, oh yeah, this guy's gonna do this and this guy's gonna do that. We bring him over from wherever, France, Dutch league, wherever. We bring them over and we just think, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be amazing. And then the pressure starts getting to them. They don't look as great. Maybe they're decent on their debut, but then after 4 or 5 games, you're like, wow, this guy, I thought he was going to bring this. And we all get disappointed a bit. We get a bit disheartened. Some people start saying, oh, he needs to settle in. Other people start saying things like, oh, well, he's rubbish. We got robbed for our money. We got scammed. But in actual reality, when you look at like the signing of Cunha and Mbeumo, these guys are just packing their stuff into a transit van and then it's being transported through via a motorway to their next destination, right?
Mhm.
So there is no, oh, I just need to adjust. You're just going to another city in the same country, different accent. No need to get your passport out and go through passport control. No need for a private jet to just bring you somewhere. Nope. It's just going in a transit van or however it's getting there. flying carpet, whatever, and it's being transported to your new accommodation, right?
Hmm.
All you need to do is change your kid's school and find your missus a new
Well,
friend group, and it's all good. Yeah, there's no adjustment period. We expect you guys to hit the ground running. There will be no excuses. Yeah. There's not going to be like, oh, let's give him time. There's no time. Yeah. You're playing one game a week. You knew what the score was before you signed on the dotted line. Hit the ground running. Hit the ground running. Yeah. Make Manchester United great again. We are not here for you man's excuses no more. Yeah. We want to see Bloods, God, and Thunder. We want to see these men fight for the badge. Yeah. Fight for the badge, fight for the fans, play like you fucking mean it. Yeah. We don't want to hear no excuses. We want to go back to bitch slapping teams week in, week out. We want to see fast paced football. None of that slow shit that these men have been doing for the last 4 or 5 years. Slow football where you just play the ball, a guy sticks his leg on it, he looks around, then he passes the ball. Nah, none of that. We want to see pat, 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 goal. That's what we want to see. Yeah. We want to see the opposition in disarray. We want to see the opposition in sixes and sevens. We want to see fast paced football. Yeah. We want to see attack, attack, attack. We don't want to see none of that bullshit that they've been doing last season. We don't want to see that again. Yeah.
but we don't. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Can't disagree there. But question of the hour, guys, in the chat. If you're watching live and you're not in the chat, and you want to comment later on, this is a big question that Freddie Red has asked here. Where does Mount fit into this system now with the additions that of Mbeumo and Cunha? And we're saying the additions of Mbeumo and Cunha because the player has made it known. He wants Man United. We know Man United want him. It's just a matter of time before the deal gets done. So, what are your thoughts in the chat on this question that Fred the Red has posed? I have another question from the great one. Guys, if you have your thoughts or questions you think you want the chat to interact with, post them in the comments. When we read the comments, I will read them out and I will bring them up. While I'm looking for some chats that reply to this comment, Bali, what are your thoughts on this before I give my opinion?
My thoughts on Mason Mount. All right. Well, it gives Manchester United breathing room, right? Because one, we haven't got to rely on Mason Mount to be fit, because I think that was Ten Hag's issue. He was having to rely on the fitness of Mason Mount and Luke Shaw when it's impossible. It's impossible. If you have to rely on the fitness of Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, and Rasmus Højlund to bail you out of sticky situations, then you're in trouble. You're in a lot of trouble. So now, this season, it seems this up and coming season, it looks like they're addressing the fact that Rasmus is a developing player and he shouldn't be starting. They're addressing the situation of Mason Mount and his injury issues and the fact that he's not reliable enough to be our main number 10. We're addressing the issues of Luke Shaw always frequent on Uber Eats or Burger King. We're addressing these things. So now, in terms of like Mason Mount, I can see him mainly on the bench, but maybe he could be like one of the main ones off the bench. He could also be put deeper into midfield as well, and he can also be played further forward. Maybe put in one of our, maybe taking, let's say, if Dorgu was playing as a left wing back, he could be brought off, and then maybe they could put Cunha towards the left, and they could put Mason Mount in the 10. So there's different things
Bro,
that the manager could do in order to. You have to understand, if we're chasing a game, the manager has options to do certain things.
Yeah,
Now,
but let
I'm
me
not.
ask that question. When you look at the bench, and now
Yeah,
why be honest, you're
yeah.
watching Mason Mount and Garnacho, and they need a goal. Who coming on?
Mason Mount and Garnacho, probably Garnacho. Because Mason Mount, Garnacho's proven off the bench. I think anybody who says otherwise is in a dreamland. The guy comes off the bench and he makes things happen, regardless of whether it results in a goal or not. He comes on and just creates absolute chaos. I think that's one thing I'll give the guy. When he starts, I just see too much banging the ball over the bar, and it drives me up the wall, which is why I'm so happy for Cunha and Mbeumo, because these are guys that will improve the decision making in the final third. Um, the track record speaks for itself, in my humble opinion.
I don't disagree. I see a box saying here Dogu shouldn't be starting. I kind of agree with that statement. This season I feel like I look at him. I see a couple of games where he had some really good performances off the left, like maybe like two or three. I see two or three or four games he played off the right where his performance was better than off the left. And the rest of the games, I was feeling like, yeah, this guy still adapting to the league. He gonna need time. He might need a little development with that as well. He's 20 years old. I was going hard on him. Let me see where it come next January after another 6 months in the system and more time in England. One game a week with some rest. Let me see how he fare. You know what I mean? He come in the business and I had a game of bly. You know what I mean? So I give it to Joshua Zirkzee, and he come in at the beginning of the season, at the end of this last summer. But yeah, I kind of still agree. Maybe he shouldn't be starting. But you know, what I mean, looking at the situation now with Diego Leone coming into the club this summer, the youngster coming out of Paraguay, there is reports that they're going to put him on the same trajectory as Sekou Kone. He is going to be playing some games in the under 21 to adapt to the English style of life for first few months, the weather, these sorts of things. Of course, if his performances are interesting, there are reports that, he will be considered for, maybe on bench or training with the first team as well as, playing in the youths in the under 21 setup. He will be able to play in the under 18s as well, as he has only just turned 18 this year. So he's still allowed to play in the under 18s for next season. So there will be lots of games for the young player to get himself acquainted with the English style of football, the English feel, the pitches, and of course the weather. If anyone is interested, of course, your boy Mark Ken next season will definitely be trying to cover more youth games as they are being made more available and more able to be viewed by fans on a more wider scale, not just on MUTV, but more announcements from that will come. And like, we are talking about transfers and Mbwemo, and we spoke about his impact in Manchester United, and that's all well and good. But what about the players around him? What about other potential signings that Manchester United have been looking at? There are reports that there's a young defender from Udinese called by the name of Omar Salet, 23 years old. I think he will be 24 this season. And the youngster is said to be on the radar of Manchester United, as we might be needing an extra centre back to add to the fact that we have just, as I said earlier, we have lost the likes of Victor Lindelof, who left on a free, and the retirement of Johnny Evans. And while I don't think we might be needing a lot of centre backs to come into the back line, as we have the likes of Eden Haven, Lenny Euro, as well as other young talent coming through. We also have Maguire, who will probably be here for another season. There are reports that the Man United will trigger his contract extension. So as he already has one season left, he should be entering one more season at the club as yet still, because he has shown that he can perform in Amarim's system. There's also Fredrickson, as I forgot. Thank you for reminding me. I apologize for that. I did like his performance, to be honest. And Fredrickson, for me, yeah, I think it was one of these talking points where I was saying Fredrickson locked down Matthias Cunha when we last played Wolves. Interesting young talent on his debut. And I would say it will be very interesting when they become teammates and start training together, which I think probably have happened and will happen. Yeah, Diego Leone will be arriving before that, but officially, he will be announced on July the 1st. You know what I mean? So don't sweat about that. Onana is another topic of a discussion. There are reports coming in about Martinez. United has a strong an intention or interest in Martinez, and that might well be true. I would say it's not as strong as being reported. I would say there's interest because as well he is a good goalkeeper. But again, he plays for Aston Villa and Man United. A purchase of that player might really impact the profits made because, as we know, Marcus Rashford is pure profit. Villa is interested in signing the player. Of course, we know the player is also interested in Barcelona, but who's willing to pay him and who's willing to sign him? Yeah, it might look like a situation where, he might end up be moving to Aston Villa as well, because there are reports that Aston Villa are ready to pay upwards of £40 million for Marcus Rashford and near meet his requirements. Because as you know, when he moved to Aston Villa, Ollie Watkins was moved to the bench. So it's going to be interesting. And this is one thing. What are your opinions on that? I think there are two goalkeepers. Like I mentioned, Mille Svilar before, the goalkeeper from Roma. I kind of like that option. I've watched 2 or 3 past games of his. When I say past games, couple 2, 3 games this season, but I watched it back over the last weekend. So I can't say that I watched him live, but I watched a replay, and I think he's an interesting goalkeeper, well deserving of winning the Golden Glove in Italy. What are your thoughts?
Um, I don't know the keeper, so I'm not gonna profess like I know his whole career. I do know Emi Martinez, and I think he's an excellent penalty goalkeeper. However, I would like a better goalkeeper, in my humble opinion, because especially for that price, 40 mil. I'm not saying he's not worth 40 mil. 40 mil is probably about right. But then if we're gonna spend 40 mil on Emi Martinez, can we not scout? Can we not like check the whole world for which keepers fit under this valuation? Because I'm pretty sure there are loads of keepers that probably fall into that 40 million price bracket. It comes to a point where once you're willing to spend a certain amount, you have to look around. Yeah. And yeah, if we're going to spend 40 million, that means we can get anyone, in my humble opinion. So I would have to do some more digging into to see what Emi Martinez is all about, but I'm unsure that I want to spend 40 million on this guy, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie.
True. I agree with that one there. But what your thoughts? I know you don't know Sfila. I know you don't. You might know what Joan Garcia. I say in Joan, but I don't know how else to say it because it's Joan. You know what I mean? But yeah, at
I
the
think a
same
lot
time,
of I think a lot of clubs seem to be after Garcia, so maybe Garcia might be a shout because he seems to be the hot thing right now. And the keeper that we have is not a hot thing right now. He's a cold thing. He is evil, and certain times he plays against us. We could be winning a game, and then he starts bringing the team systematically, bringing another team back into the game for whatever reason. And although the strike force has not helped him out and put him under immense pressure by not scoring goals week in, week out, yeah, we've also had it in the past where we've had a goalkeeper behind the sticks, and even though he wasn't good with his feet and everything else, when we played rubbish, he stepped up his game. So if David De Gea, who I don't really rate that highly, if he was able to play well when the rest of the team was playing crap, then Andre Onana is definitely crap. Because at the end of the day, it's like we're giving him more time to shine because we can't score goals. So because we can't score goals, he seems to just be setting us up. Like he's setting us up for failure. I don't care. Every time we play a European competition, he's doing a madness. Every time the game is poised, like as an example, that cup final, even though it was Luke Shaw's initial mistake, he should have stopped that from going in.
Bro.
He he does what he does. He does that loads of times in the game, loads of times. So yeah, I'm kind of sick of it. There was a period where I did defend him because at that time I felt like people were quick to jump on him because of the Champions League campaign, but he's just the backing was unfounded from me. So obviously, I just apologize for backing this calamitous keeper. Like he didn't deserve my backing. My backing was way too good for him, and we definitely need to sort out that position of the team. Because at the end of the day, I might like some. There are things that I like in his game, like his confidence on the ball. He's he must be one of the best keepers I've ever seen on the ball. And I know people are like, "Oh my god, you're talking," but listen, teams they struggle to get the ball off him when the ball's on his feet. Like it gets to the point, yeah, where he's so press resistance, they just instruct the team to stop pressing the keeper because they know they're not going to get the ball off him. Yeah, so that part of his game I really enjoy. However, what he does in between the sticks, yeah, is unforgivable. So I would love it if we was able to upgrade that area of the field this season, but not at the expense of the attack and the midfield. So for
Facts.
me, I would sort out the attack first, then sort out the midfield, and then see, okay, cool. Do we have any more change in the kitty for a new keeper, if possible? Yeah. If not, then I will do that the following season. But one
Bro.
way or another, he has to go.
I would have call Al Hilal and tell them, bro, you could get Onana, Mason Mount, and Luke Shaw on a deal. 60 million or 70 million, take all three and go.
The
Run.
problem is, yeah, we have to convince Luke Shaw that the food is better in Saudi Arabia.
Bro, that convince you nothing. Bro, from the time he here, 400K a week or 300K a week from Saudi, he will be playing football week in, week out in Saudi. And
Yeah,
he
but
will
some
play.
players ain't motivated by the money like you think. That's
Yeah,
why
well, bro,
if you
trust me.
convince him that their
In hot
burgers and
weather,
chips taste like
hot
gold, he
cakes,
might want to go
he
there.
could eat ice cream year round. He will go. Yeah. Because it's warm weather, he could eat ice cream for all year. You know what I'm saying?
If they say you can eat ice cream before the match, he might think about it.
Never
He might,
know.
he might
But it
think
would
about
be
it.
interesting. But I would make that sort of approach to Saudi. I would call them and say, "Guy Mason Mount, Luke Shaw, and Onana, like three big names all together. Hey,
You know what's
90
funny about what you just said, right? Even though I wouldn't mind all three of those guys going, I have a sneaky suspicion that if you try to take Mason Mount from this manager, he's gonna fight you.
I don't care. I did UF in this moment. He had a whole account. You want Gyokeres? Then shut up. I don't want to hear it. I want 90 mil. I need the three of them must go. I offloading about 700,000 a week there in them players going. Telling you, offload. Yeah? And I'm going to bring in three players to replace them. I want to bring in a substitute 10 who could come off the bench like Turkey, small money. less than 20 million pounds. Yeah. I'll give him a sign-on bonus of probably 3 million pounds just because he was so cheap. Yeah. I'm just saying. And then I would sign Edison. And I was good. I'll be good to go. I will go into the free transfer market for a senior left wing back to come in and play a role. Whether it be Regulon or Mario Hermoso or some other left wing back who the coach would love to have. As
What's
long
your
as it's
thoughts
cheap.
on Gibbs White?
I like Gibbs White, you know. I
On, I
don't
think
mind
he's a
him at
free
Man United.
transfer. I think he's a
Right
free
now,
transfer. I think
snap
so.
it. Snap it off, boy. Sign it. Quick. Sign it. Sign it. Sign him. Don't play. Sign him. Free transfer. Right now.
I
Sign
could
me,
be
boy.
wrong, but I think he's a free transfer.
If he might, I feel it's next season, but if it's this season, sign him one time. Free. Brother. Morgan Gibbs White in our midfield. Energy. He could play the eighth role. You could play Bruno, Cunha, and Casemiro. And play Mbeumo as right wing back.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say no to a free transfer. At least to me, we're strengthening the bench.
Brother,
Um,
even on the bench or coming on in some or starting some games with that four in midfield, ain't no way you running through that midfield king with Morgan Gibbs White, Bruno and Cunha and Casemiro. No, you not running through that midfield king. Morgan Gibbs White will deal you. And if he don't deal you, Casemiro will finish you. And then when you talk about on the flip side in a counter attack, Morgan Gibbs White had good pace. He's pick up good positions. He could attack, he could shoot. Yeah. Yeah, Bruno, M- Cunha, and Mbwemo.
so
Possibly
we're
Gyokeres.
we're
Come.
loosely linked with the guy at Como. Is
Yeah,
it
Nico
Paz? Paz.
Paz, youngster from Poland.
He's a very good player.
Very good youngster. Very, very talented player. You know, of course, Real Madrid has a buyback clause of 8 million euros for the player, but the player is
Eight
more interested
million.
in game time. He is
Eight.
very, very interested in game time. He is not interested in going to Real Madrid if he's not guaranteed
So
important minutes.
what's his main role? What's his main sort of like if he came to Man United, where would he play?
He's a hybrid 8-10, and he could play the six.
So he would play
He's
six
our
then.
general midfielder, in my honest opinion. I would say he's our general midfielder. He could play
So
the
he would
six
play
role,
six then.
he could play the eight role, and he's very
Ah,
good.
well, he's not gonna play 10. If Man United sign two tens, then he's gonna play six, right?
Yeah, he probably will play the six role or play a eight role next to Bruno or play the six role next to Bruno. He could play. He's very, very interesting. And it
You
would not be an expensive signing. At maximum, 20 million euros,
you
10
know
million
another
pounds.
thing? Do you know another thing? I wanna give a honourable shout out to Xerxes because do you know, obviously he's already a Man United player. He first came to us, in my humble opinion, he was overweight. He started to slim down, and then you started to see a quicker, more nimble guy. And when he started to come into form, he got injured. But having said that, we wasn't actually playing well at the time. If this
But
Manchester United team starts cooking, yeah, Joshua Xerxes can cook for this team. Yeah, I'm not talking. I'm not saying he would be the main man, but as a first striker off the bench, he's gonna cook. I think he has the potential to start cooking next season.
dog,
So I'm looking
this
forward to that.
great one. Need to watch more football, you know. You need to watch more Italian Serie A. I know great one. Telling you. You know you're saying it. Sorry about that, Dave. broski. Bali, you there?
No, I'm there. I'm there.
My bad, bro. I mean, it's an interesting situation, bro. And I won't say Nico Paz would come and should start or anything like that. Of course, you know me, bro. I just look at players under 23 as developing players. Is very talented. He might be on a level close to a generational youngster, I would say, with the level of talent and what has I've heard about him. After watch some more of his games on replay in the next couple of days. But yeah, I have always heard a lot about him. I've seen one or two of his games, especially in that game where Varane get injured. He went on in that game to score a goal and get an assist. He's a good player. He's interesting. You know what I mean? And like you mentioned, Zirkzee there, I saw Zirkzee at Bayern Munich, and I always thought to myself, he's a good player. But at Bayern Munich, he was the size of Matthias Tell. If you know what Matthias Tell looked like, Joshua Zirkzee was that exact size at Bayern Munich. You understand? So
Mm.
when I see this Joshua Zirkzee, I was like, who is this dude? But now that I see he's adapted to the league, he's a half step or two quicker than he was when he initially started, and he's more confident. This Xerxes a threatening player. He's a good player to come on as a substitute for Cunha. I think it would end up being something like a like for like situation. It could be a situation where it could be a dogfight come January because if Xerxes restarts this current season coming here with the form that he ended the season with before he was injured. Hey, Man United in for an interesting season, boy. I telling you, we will look good.
Yeah, 100%. Competition for places is what I always say. I think a team starts to go backwards when there's no competition for places and when we allow players to have a free run at positions. Especially the only time it's less of a issue is when we got certified players playing in those positions and then the backups can just never get into the team over them. All right, fair enough. But then you also have to rely on them never getting injured, right?
Mm,
And I don't want to be in a situation because it's never good for any company when you're over reliant on your certain employees, right? You always need to have a contingency plan in case they either want to hold you to ransom or they want to leave the company. Yeah, you don't want to be in a situation where you can't do nothing without them, right?
hmm
So, hence the reason why at Manchester United we've always had competition for places. The likes of Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo, Nani, Anderson, the like so many names like they have you scared in the tunnel. You just see these guys in the tunnel looking forward, and you think, "Oh my god, how are we gonna stop Berbatov? How are we gonna stop this man? How are we gonna stop that man?" And then after these man run them ragged, half time, 60th minutes, the manager brings on 2 to 3 substitutions, and you got more killers coming off the bench. Yeah, that psychologically damages teams. So
exactly.
if we have a confident Joshua Xerxes coming off the bench, you know, with his skills and his technical ability and his link play, and he can add some finishing to his game, then yeah, we could shock a lot of teams next season. But we need to spend that money wisely. I need a striker as well as Mbwemo. I need a midfielder. And then maybe we can look at a goalie.
Ah, I'm not too stressed about our midfielder, to be honest,
I like
guys,
the
because
kid
we have
Hackney as well, by the way. I like the kid Hackney.
Hackney's an interesting player. We have a lot of talent when it comes to midfield in the sense young talent though. You know what I mean? We had Dango Jr. coming through. Camerson also does a thing. Morehouse, Scanlon. We have the Fletcher twins. One has played DM more role. One has played a more forward role. There's Sekou Kone as well. I think there's a lot of situations that we could get ourselves into, and Portugal lead the game. Ronaldo scores. Just had to say that, by the way. You know what I mean? But when I say that, yeah, I say that with the intent that if we get two attacking tens, we already have Casemiro and Ugarte, who will fill in next to Bruno. Yeah. Now we have youngsters who I think could come in and do a job for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, possibly 25 minutes here. They maybe start a game in the Carabao Cup, yeah, and stuff like that. So for me, I feel like it's something where we need to look at it from a situation where it's possible if we get like a Victor Gyokeres, we could go and buy a goalkeeper, because realistically, we kind of need to develop some players for the future as well. And with the key players that we bring in, that we already have, you know, to bring in another midfielder could kind of upset the kettle cat. I understand we need competition, but we only have so many positions in midfield. And even though the manager need lots of options, she has options with the youth. He has options. And I just
He has
think
options, but at the end of the day, competition for places. I don't want a monopoly of people just thinking, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna play. I want people to think, wow, where am I gonna get minutes from? And if they're not good enough to force their way into the team, then you want to think about your future. Either you fight for your place or you go. So
well,
the
this is
strongest
why.
will
But
survive.
when I talk about the upsetting the apple cart, it had nothing to do with the young players I talk about. I talk about if you buy the likes of a Edison, yeah,
Yeah,
and maybe another midfielder, because there are reports that United in for still in for Edison and one other midfielder, right? When you bring those two guys in, those two guys go and fight with Casemiro and Ugarte. Now that will be interesting. But there's also Bruno. There's also the other guys who was like Kobe Minu and who there, you know, already. And the likes of Toby Collier and others to competing for spaces. So I'm saying is,
I rather bring Casemiro on, knowing that we've already manhandled the team that we're playing against already, and he's just seeing out the victory, and he's using his experience to not allow the team to throw it away, rather than relying on him when the game is fast paced and we've got a lot of things in the balance. Now,
well,
as much as I love Casemiro, right? Casemiro's best games for us were in Europe. Yeah, they
mhm.
weren't they weren't in the league. Yeah. And I'm not saying he can't play in the league, but I'm just
But he
saying
had
over
some
the
good
course
games
of
in
the
the league too, though.
he he, he
He had
did
about
he,
four or
he did
five good games in
he,
the league for
he
sure.
did have some good games in the league. He is a top player. But I just think we need to not allow him to have the monopoly on starting. So I would bring in somebody else, and then they should all fight each other. That's what I
Yeah,
think.
I mean, I just think that, with the growing trend of Man United, I would like to have to squeeze some youth into the team for the future as well as for next season, because I think some of them deserve a chance.
That's
And I
what the
would,
cup
and I would,
competitions are for. That's what the
true.
you see. That's what you see. The problem is, yeah,
That's what the
we want
Carabao
to.
Cup was for,
we
not
we
FA
we
Cup,
want to
not
we want
Europa.
to we want to give these youngsters, yeah, we want to give them a chance, but we want to give them a chance in the wrong situations. Yeah, Ferguson famously gave youngsters a chance in cup matches.
Yeah, in the
Let's
Carabao Cup.
yeah, let's see what you're gonna do. Or if even if it was a league game where he gave them a chance, it's like 5-10 minutes off the bench at the end of the game if we're chasing it. Yeah, like if you remember the Federico Makeda goal where he came off the
True,
bench.
true, as well. Other players as well, like. But that is what I meant. Like 10, 15 minutes and thing. And I meant like, starting and thing. Nah. But yeah, as you mentioned, this Campos move, Real Madrid are interested in a striker. Funny enough, they're interested in loaning a striker. You would not guess who that striker is?
Jamie Vardy.
No, bro.
Who?
It's the guy that everybody been rubbishing this season, Rasmus Højlund.
Oh wow.
Real
Um.
Madrid have been reported that Xabi Alonso has keen interest in Rasmus Højlund and would like to take him on loan for a season. There will be an approach made. However, you know, of course, it's left to be seen as a report. But there's also interest in Rasmus Højlund coming in from Inter Milan as well as Juventus. And I would say Inter Milan have a strong interest in the player, but they also would like to take him on loan with a possible obligation to buy or option to buy. However, would say that if we bring in Gyokeres, there's no need to send him on loan there because we would have a senior striker that he can learn from at home. But it is what it is, what the club decides to do. They have their plan. Of course, I'm just focused on the main signings, which is Mbeumo and Gyokeres, and possibly squeeze in I would squeeze in a Turkey, you know what I mean? It's not April Fool's Compost Smooth. It's a real thing. It's a thing, Broski. It's why I was laughing. Because we're not in April. We're
Um.
in June.
In terms of Jokeres, I mean, maybe we could do something where we send Rasmus to Sporting on loan for a couple of seasons and then take Jokeres, buy Jokeres off them, and then see what he can do over there. Maybe he can learn something out there. I think Real Madrid is too big of a
He's
club for
us.
him. Personally, I think it's too big of a club for him. I don't think the reports are true. I don't think he's good enough to play for such a club. I don't even think he's good enough for Man United at this current moment. I think if he was a part of the academy, he wouldn't come out of the academy because he's not that great. I think there's better players in the academy that are
Uh,
better than him
I
right
would
now.
disagree, yeah, bro. I
Yeah,
just
but
me, yeah,
that's
I would
I just have
disagree.
to give my opinion. I just have to
That's
give
okay.
my opinion. You can have your opinion, which is fine. I ain't gotta kill you for that. And I have my opinion. I think we have better kids in the academy than Hoyland. I think some of the chances, the amount of chances that he's had to start week in, week out is criminal. I think, yeah, the only reason why they've given him ample opportunity to play up front is because he's a Viking. And I don't think anybody else would have had that type of chance at Manchester United to play week in, week out,
I don't
look
believe that.
bad.
If
Uh,
anything at all, I blame Amarim for him playing so many minutes up front while he was having a poor run of form. I think
But he
that
weren't.
all
He
on the
weren't. He
manager
weren't the only
and the
manager
club for
that played
bad
him through
decisions.
playing.
And I'm
He
being
weren't the
honest
only
with you,
manager.
bro.
He wasn't the
Because the
only
manager
manager that
selected
played him
him,
when he
bro.
was playing rubbish.
The
He weren't the
manager
only
was
manager.
selecting him when he was playing rubber. The manager keeps selecting him and sometimes selecting a player while they're not in good form is not in the best interest of the player or the club. And
Yeah,
I
but he
think
wasn't the only manager doing it. That's my
no,
thing.
but he
So I,
was the only manager doing it because under
so
Ten
Ten
Hag,
Hag was
brother scored
playing him.
17
Ten Hag
goals,
played
12
him.
in the Prem. He
Ten
scored
Hag
12
played
in
him
the
through
Prem
bad
last
form.
season, bro.
Ten Hag played him through bad
Bro, the
form as
man
well.
scored
He
12
went
goals in the Prem
16
last
games
season.
under
What you
Ten Hag,
talking
yeah,
about?
he went 16 matches in a
Not 16
row,
Prem games,
yeah.
bro. He went
He went
16 matches in
16,
total,
he
but
went
not 16
16.
Prem games. It was
Somebody
not
can fact
16
check this,
Prem
yeah.
games. It was
Somebody can
16
fact check
games in
this. This
total, but
guy
it
went
was not Prem.
16. I don't care. 16 games in a row with no goal
It's
is
his first
diabolical.
season a
I don't
developing
care.
player,
I
20 years
don't
old.
care. I don't
Well,
care
that's the
for
problem.
excuses. I
That's the
don't care.
problem.
I
He
don't
was
care for
never
the
the senior
excuses.
striker
I
then.
don't care. I don't care.
It was
Yeah,
also Anthony
16
Martial.
games without a goal is diabolical.
Bro, but
I
the
do not care.
players that you rate done worse.
I don't
Players that
care.
you
This is
rate
my,
done
but they're
worse.
not doing it at Man United. They're doing it somewhere else.
But who
See no
cares if they're
evil,
doing
hear
it at
no
Man
evil.
United,
They're
bro? You
doing
can't
it
be mad
somewhere
at a
else. If
developing
you're
player,
gonna
bro.
listen,
That is
If
wild.
that's like saying if
That
your
is
missus
crazy, bro.
if somebody else's missus is
Bro, you
cheating,
don't
yeah.
get so mad at
If she's cheating
Camerson.
behind your back and you
You
don't
don't
know, all
get that
right,
mad
cool,
at
you
Chido
don't
Obi
know. But
Martin, bro.
if you can see the Kim K video, yeah, then it's diabolical work.
Bro,
I'm
you don't
just
get
being
that mad
real.
at Chido Obi, bro. So you
I
can't get
don't.
that mad at that dude in his first season,
Why
bro.
should I? Why
Especially
should I
when he
get mad
scored
at
12 Prem
Cheeto
goals.
when Cheeto's only playing because he's playing shit?
But in any
Cheeto's not even
event,
supposed to.
it's the
Cheeto's not
manager's
even
fault.
supposed to be
Because
in the
last
team.
season, under the other manager, he was better. So
Nah,
therefore,
I'm not
the
doing.
manager was
You know
doing,
what?
this
Yeah,
manager was doing
I'm not.
something that was not working.
Okay. Do you
But
know what?
anyway,
Yeah,
in
I'm
my
gonna let
honest
you have that,
opinion,
but
we should have had an
I can't
alternate
go back and
striker.
forth with
We
you
never bought
over
an
this
alternate
Dusty Viking.
striker.
I can't do it, bruv.
Bro, you just mad,
I
bro.
can't.
Forget that.
He's the
If
worst
we should have
striker
had a
we've
senior
ever had
striker,
at this club.
I
He's the
blame three
worst.
things: the
He
club,
is the
the
worst.
board managers,
Yeah.
as
Blame
well.
everyone
But
else
both
apart from the
managers
guy
have to
with
hold
his
blame.
dusty left foot and his dusty right foot. Blame everyone.
It's still better
Blame
than
everyone.
Delap,
Yeah.
though, broski. That is
Blame
wild.
everyone
That
else
is still
apart
better
from
than
the guy who's
Delap.
perpetrating. Yeah.
It's
When he's
still
got blood
better
on
than
his
Delap,
hands.
bro.
When
That
he's
is
got blood on
wild.
his hands, blame everyone else. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Bro,
That's
let me
cool.
tell you something, bro, right?
I hope I do a crime and you go jail for it.
Bro, you just
I
tell
hope
me the
I do a
same thing when
crime
I
and you
say
get the 10
Dorgu.
years for it.
When I say Dorgu is rubbish, bro, you just tell me, but he's developing.
No, I say
Da-da-da-da-da.
I use your logic against you.
Exactly.
I know
So
he's
then I
playing
being
shit.
fair to both of them. You
No,
can't be mad that
but
I'm being
you
fair.
listen, you're not don't ask me to do something that you don't abide by. I have simple
Bro,
principles,
look,
yeah.
I was just
I have
earlier
simple
talking, I was
principles in how
glossing
I judge
about
players.
Dorgu.
I
I was
don't care.
glossing.
I just want you to keep the same energy. So when you're telling me that Dorgu is shit, I point to Rasmus. This is a guy who you want to argue with for. When you've seen a massive sample size, yeah, Dorgu came to us in January. Yeah, he came to us in
Bro,
January.
the man cost us more than 15 goals since January.
Let me land. He came to us in January from a team that was due to get relegated from Serie A. Yeah, my
That
man like
alone should
Rasmus
tell you
Hoyland,
how shit he is.
yes, but that is that at the end of the day, regardless of whether you think he's shit or not, he's 20 years old by your logic. He's 20 and he came to the club in January. So you want to tell me he's shit, but you want to hype up Rasmus Hoyland? And I say the
Because the
only reason
man
why
had more goals in the Prem than the player, Liam Delap, man, them must be hyping.
I'm
Yeah?
telling you, it's
He
because
had
he's a
more.
Viking.
He had more.
I'm
He had
telling you,
more.
I'm telling you,
Last
it's
season, in
because
his first season, debut in the
people like
Prem,
the nine on his
something.
shorts. That's my people like the nine on his shorts. That's why he has so many people backing him up. Yeah, this guy is a diabolical striker.
Bro, like,
He's
anyway, take it,
diabolical.
bro. I don't
Yeah,
want him to
he
start.
is the
I
most
wanted him to come
diabolical
off the
striker
bench
I've ever
since
seen
last
at this
season.
club.
I wanted him to come off the bench since last season. I wanted a senior striker. I've been banging a drum for a senior striker for 2.5 years now. This is going to be the third summer window. I'm banging on a drum for this club to buy a senior striker who's a bagsman.
Do you
Who
know
is a
what's funny?
bagsman.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny? We rashed it all over Rashford, yeah. But Rashford never almost got us relegated. Rasmus did. He almost got us relegated, and we've got people like, oh, it's not his fault, it's not his fault. Yeah, because you
Why did
fancy him.
he get us
Yeah, it's not his
relegated? He's
fault.
not the
That's
coach,
because
bro. He don't start
you find him more
himself.
attractive. You
Start
find him
the
more
paper,
attractive than Lukaku and Rashford, and that's why, yeah, you man were able to say this shit. That's why you man were able to say this shit. His blue eyes are
calm down.
phenomenal. His blue eyes are phenomenal. Like, I'm
I
just
don't
gonna be
even know
real,
what you're
yeah.
talking about, bro.
We need killers up front. I would rather take, yeah, the other Viking, the Swedish Viking, because he knows how to fucking score goals, yeah.
Well, of
I
course.
don't want
But
any
he's a
excuses.
senior guy. He has experience. And this is
Nah,
what I've been arguing for 2.5 years, bro. Man, them moving wild. Man, them crazy. Man, them rather not be vexed that we ain't buy a senior striker for 2.5 seasons and be vexed with a youth man who you know. is not really that good and still had to develop. So why get mad if he's not at that level when it have people who making these decisions and getting away with it year in,
That's
year
like
out?
saying, why get mad if your missus is shagging your neighbor? Like, what are we talking about? He's
Bro,
playing
come
up front for
on.
us.
Jeez.
He's playing up front for us, and he's playing shit week in, week out, and he's still getting chances week in, week out. It is
Bro,
diabolical.
you not
When I
serious,
see
bro.
how rubbish this guy is, yeah, it makes me sad. I genuinely want to shed a tear when somebody tries to play the ball to him and then he loses the ball. Yeah, I genuinely want to shed a tear when I see him, the ball coming to him, and he's more interested in fighting a defender or where the defender is rather than where the ball's gonna land. Yeah, I genuinely like I can't
Bro,
believe, yeah,
I
that
can't believe that you have the energy 2 weeks after the season end to still talk about this guy, bro. Like,
bro,
I
you're
don't
the one
even
who brought
care
him up,
about it.
yeah?
The
You're the one
season
who
done.
brought him
I
up
look
on the
into the
stream to
transfer
say he's
window. This
going
is a
Real Madrid.
transfer
If he's
stream.
going
This is
Real
not
Madrid
about
and we can rob
Rasmus.
them, I'm happy to do this. If he's going Real Madrid and we're able to rob them, I'm happy to do this because we got robbed first. 72 million, we got robbed first, right? Hand over fist, yeah? Got bent over a barrel, no lube, raw, bow. Yeah, it hurt so bad. That 72 million, we're never going to get it back. Yeah. If we can rob Real Madrid and get, I don't know, 40 million, I just feel like we've written a wrong. We've we've
We'll
made a
see.
wrong
Let's
right.
see what goes on, broski. Because, like I said to y'all, there's interest. The main thing is there's interest coming from clubs that we know are of equivalent level in terms of what they go do. Yeah. So kein Problem, as they say in Deutschland, bro. Kein Problem. Yeah. Why stress? Look forward to the positives. Victor Gyokeres is on the menu. There's reports that Man United have agreed some form of personal terms with the player, and now they're trying to hash out a deal. Let's see if Man United makes it three the generational way. You
I,
understand what I'm saying?
I'm liking that menu. That sounds like
The
a
menu, the menu looks satisfying, finally, for
that sounds
years.
I get filled up of goals. If I have a striker that is banging in goals week in, week out, it satisfies my appetite in a way that I don't think you understand. Yeah.
I understand because
I want
you,
to go to Old
bro,
Trafford and go
predicts Man
ballistic when
United
these men
scoring
score
multiple
goals.
goals more than me. Who does predict Man United scoring more 4-1 goals, more 5-0s, more 6-1s than me? No
Yeah,
one.
but the thing is, we don't know what drugs have been taken prior to the predictions. We don't know what's
Brother,
happened.
I'm just a Man United fan that grew up watching a team that I know, especially in the business end of the season. In the last 10 minutes of the game, we will score 2 or 3 goals and done here. If we wasn't
Okay,
leading by 2 or 3 goals before. Because we is
okay.
Man United. But these brothers, they don't have a clue. They're still learning. They ain't there. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? You know how I feel? I feel like the club took us down the path of, yeah, we just want to grow together as a team, and we just want to learn, and we just want to develop, and everything else. And they went down that path. The path almost relegated the club. And now the fans are coming round full circle to the point where I've always been in we need to have balance within the team. We need certified seniors, we need we need good bench players, and then we need our youngsters developing, right? We need the mix and blend rather than having a team that's so far skewed to one side, is so imbalanced. Like you can't have so many senior players in a team because the, you got a lot of guys that can't be coached or molded in any form of way, right?
Exactly.
And then you can't have a team with so much youngsters because you got too much
Coaching and molding
naivety.
to do.
Yeah, you got a lot of naivety in the team. You got a lot of
But
coaching.
bro,
You got a
I've
lot of
been
molding to
saying
do.
this for a long time. Long time. When man them was hyped. And you know, I had to mention the reckless delegates, bro. These reckless delegates was hyped. Yeah. Hyped for you team. Yeah. Hyped for you team. But in my opinion, it's like, bro, you need experience with youth. You can't just go with youth. You know, Chelsea did it and everybody want to follow. How? You know, I'm a fan of doing what works for me. You know what I mean? And what works for Man United is buying one or two of the best players in the Prem, bringing in a foreign player, and promoting some youth.
Nah, for real.
You understand? So if that's we formula and we win 13 titles unanswered, where we was winning three in a row, two back to back, three in a row, two back to back, three in a row, two back to back. Bro, that is we formula. We don't need to remake the wheel. It's already there. We could just improve on it. You understand what I'm saying, King? But
Yeah,
for some reason, the board and the amazing DOF and all these best in class, they finally had the idea after failing, boy. Like,
the thing is,
wow.
yeah, I personally, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not an expert, but I believe that if I was given a job to train and to know my stuff within 12
Nah.
months, I believe I could know my stuff within 12 months and be phenomenal at my job within 2 to 3 years. These man have been doing this type of job that they've been doing for a long time, and it's like they're shit. They go in directions that they think is gonna make things better, and then they end up making things worse. Right? They waste mad amounts of money
Mm.
on players, right? And then they end up having to get rid of them like a season or two after they've signed them. Like they've done it too many times. They've done it now with Anthony. They've done it now with Jadon Sancho. Like they're now potentially doing it with Hoyland. I mean, how many times are these men gonna do this same thing before they realize that you need to go to Wolves and get Cunha? You need to go to Brentford and get Mbwemo. You need to go to I don't know. Who else is another good player? Maybe Semenyo, maybe Suleimane, maybe Tyler Diblin, maybe like somebody in and around the Premier League that is playing quite well. Like maybe we can go to the Championship and get Hayden Hackney. Yeah, and I think I'm not saying that all our players need to come from this area of the country, but I think right if we had a core of 5 or 6 players, people that get it, get the culture, get the pace and power of the Premiership, have the physicality, have the intelligence, have played against many of the teams before, then they're not going to be phased by anything, really. They're the ones who are now going to help people coming into the environment. Oh, you do this, you do that, you don't do that. Welcome to Manchester United type of thing. We haven't got people that can provide that experience. We've only got people that are able to provide new players with a loser mentality, with new places to go and drink, with new ways of deceiving the fans, with new ways of not putting in 100%, with new ways of being a Maradona or prima donna, should I say, and not giving your all, not fighting for the badge, and throwing your toys out the pram, throwing your manager under the bus with social media posts, with your brother talking nonsense. Like we have some weird players at this club, And I will be happy when all that culture gets stamped out of the club and we get back to complete domination. The Manchester United of old, title after title after title after title. Yeah, going
Bro,
back to
I get it, bro. I get
we've
it.
won the lot. Going back to singing, we've won the lot. Yeah, we're Man United and we're never gonna stop and all that type of talk. I want to go back to all of that. I want to go back to it, but it's hard. Yeah, when we're finishing 15th and some people in the fan base think we're just being negative, but we're
Yeah,
not being
bro.
negative. We're not. We're not. We're just trying to tell the truth objectively of the things that we've seen and how the ownership has aided and abetted in making the club fall so far down. And these men are the people that sold us this dream of, oh yeah, marginal gains, and we're gonna change the culture, and we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that, and we're gonna build a stadium, and we're gonna change up the training ground, and it's all these marginal gains, you see. And where's the flipping gains, bro? You signed a flipping DOF and sacked him within a few months, bruv. You're fucking subtracting. You're spending the money and subtracting at the same time. You're sacking all the staff, you're raising all the ticket prices, and as far as I'm concerned, all I can see is a whole bunch of fans fucking pissed off with the culture. These man fucking chatting shit on social media after losses. Yeah. These man getting pictured on fucking nights out and that. Like when we're fucking shit, seeing these men at boxing matches, at football matches, at basketball matches when we're fucking performing shit.
Bro, come on. I agree with you, but at some point these men have to live their lives. They can't, the
Nah,
camera
man,
will
fuck
always
them,
follow
man.
them.
There's no you eat, and this is the problem. You eat and sleep and shit. Manchester United, yeah.
True,
Once you
but
start
Beckham and
winning,
them used to have
winning, once you
nights
start winning,
out, bro.
yes, but once you start winning, I don't care how many nights you're having out, as long as it's not affecting your football. But if you're playing shit and I'm seeing you here, there, and everywhere, we have problems. Yeah, we
I
have
mean,
problems.
also, I telling you, I agree with Box here. Since November, these men them gone. We only played 7 games in the Prem at that point. I believe that a lot of this blame had to go on to Ineos as well as the coach, because a lot of the shit was them. You understand? As well. So the players were shit, but the coach was also shit as well too. Because the coach didn't change
I
much.
think I highlighted the hierarchy as well
Yeah.
in my rant. I didn't leave them
I
out
know you
of
didn't
this.
leave them out,
Yeah.
but I mean,
They're
I had to
just as
say it
much
too.
to
Yeah,
blame
I
as
had to
well.
compound it too. You know what I mean? I had to compound it a little bit. You know what I mean? But you know what, bro? I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully, with the decisions they're making, and hopefully by Friday, we will have a here we go deal accepted. For Mbeumo, as there's expectation that the deal will officially be made, or the bid will, will be officially made tomorrow. Hopefully by the time everyone wakes up tomorrow, there will be a bid put in for Mbeumo by Manchester United. Hopefully by tomorrow evening, the bid will be accepted, and we'll all be sipping champagne and talking about the front trees coming together, because hopefully it'll be a double whammy, because they'll be announcing Gyokeres as well, because I believe Gyokeres is going to say yes to Man United. I think the gentleman's agreement holds true, and if Amarim is the great coach that we all think he is, definitely Gyokeres will join him at Man United. It's just how it goes. You know what? And I just wanted to say big up to everyone for joining us tonight, and thank you to all of those who smashed the like and subscribed if they're new. And guys, don't be afraid. We're going to be here regularly. We're back in full effect. And of course, we're going to bring you the latest in the news, discussions, and of course, it's a different type of Man United community, the market and the elite footy talks family, in the sense, we have Bali Tech, we have all the guys, everyone has other guys has their channels as well, but we all come together and have discussions And it may not be about all that's in the headlines. It might just be about football and different players and, what different ideas we have when we saw the team playing, because we're not always in for, just criticizing the team for criticism's sake. We're not just in for criticizing that, but we will always be giving you guys fresh content, cutting edge innovative ideas and discussions because guess what, guys? We love football, so we'll find various ways to talk about the different aspects of the football game and how it impacts, especially with Man United. And of course, my boy Barry Tech will always be here. So, guys, have a great night. We've had a long one. Portugal has defeated Germany. They almost scored 4 goals in the last 5 minutes. But, you know, ending with a 2-1 victory. The GOAT scores. You know how it goes, guys. Your boy is happy. Man United is doing some things in the transfer window a lot more aggressive than I thought they would have been after losing the Europa League final, you know. And I would say it's a positive. I don't know about you guys. Get your comments in the chat. Don't forget to share it around and smash the likes. And of course, guys, don't forget to big up Bali Tech every time.
Baby.